Eric Calderon, welcome to Level Up with Kat Bradshaw. You are my friend for over 10 years. And when I saw your face this morning, I was just like, I made the right decision. You have such a great face. You have such a great smile. You are exuberant. You have fantastic energy. And so I'm really excited to have you on today because you were there with me when I first started my CrossFit journey. And I've seen your evolution through the years, even though we're not living close to each other anymore and we're not working out together anymore. Your life has changed significantly in so many ways in the last 10 years.
Yes, it has. And actually, thank you for having me, Catherine. It is lovely to see you. I made the same beaming, giddy smile when I saw your face too, because always a joy to see you. Um, yeah. I mean, it's funny that we're coming now on this kind of social media 10-year 2016 to 2026 trend, which like for some reason just hit because it allowed me and you and a lot of people to reflect on what the last 10 years have been like for everybody. Yeah, quite a what a decade will do to you.
I know. And it seems like it happened so quickly. I know that old people say that all the time, but maybe I'm now classified as an old person. And you were already old when I first met you, and I didn't even
I
realize it because
was.
you don't even age. I mean, you have gray hair now, but if we cut that short, like how when I first met you and we dyed it, I think you'd look the same, no?
I'm just maybe a little more crow's feet here, a little wrinkle here and there.
What's the aging from? Is that from becoming a father or what?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that kind of aged me, quote unquote, was having kids in a nice way. Like you share your life energy with them. Some people like, oh, it like sucked all the life out of me. I'm like, no, like transferred. So, I'm happy that they shared my life energy. I mean, that's what I'm here for.
I love that because when I first met you, you were not a dad. You were in a relationship, but you seemed to be at the gym all the freaking time. I don't even know what your work, because I was at the gym all the freaking time. So that's why I can attest to that because I wasn't working crazy, crazy hours when I first joined CrossFit. That's how you and I met. We met at Paradiso over in Venice Beach. Now, did your work life look a lot different back then?
I've had kind of a speckled career. I think I've been in the animation business for 31 years now.
Wow.
And I would say I spent about 15 to 17 of that corporate and about, 15, 16 of that independent. So I've really been kind of back and forth, back and forth. You caught me at the middle of a really long independent run that I had, which lasted from about 2009 to about 2019, 2020. So I was like really right in the middle of it. So that's kind of why I had all the quote unquote free time to be at the gym because I needed to make ends meet and I was doing a lot of coaching. And that was kind of one of the more stable forms of income that I had. And then I was hustling back and forth between writing scripts and freelance producing and trying to get projects to happen, trying to close up projects that had finished. So it was kind of the career that was driven by inspiration more than dedication. A lot of it is just like if something creative happens, you have to go for it. Or if you feel like you have an opportunity you want to chase down, you chase it down, but you can't just like kind of sit at your desk and hope things happen. So when the vibe wasn't there, when the muses weren't calling, I was at the gym.
Yeah, I totally get that because I work for myself and that is the best thing for me. And if I'm not hustling, then I'm not making money. Even if I'm not making money while I'm hustling, it's going to bring to fruition something hopefully fruitful in the future. And when I had more time, I was at the gym. Would you say that you prioritized your health more back then?
I would say I had less priorities to shuffle. I
Mm,
think at that time in my life, I had my career. I was dating someone, but I wasn't a dad. I didn't have a large amount of expenses behind me. I was kind of a vagabond. I was living very minimally, so I didn't have as much to kind of quote unquote worry about, other than aspirations and dreams and kind of what is today and what is tomorrow. I didn't have like a lot of weight on my shoulders.
Yeah.
At the time, even though, in retrospect, probably I should have planned a little better. Yeah, so that I think I felt a different kind of lighter, I think maybe a little more, maybe a lack of meaning, a lack of drive, a lack of focus.
Yeah, because you didn't have to.
Right, exactly, exactly. Yeah, the new state of have to certainly changes a person,
Yeah.
when you're looking at like little lives that you have to take care of. It really galvanizes your focus.
Yeah, I bet. It's a life changer for sure. I like the way that you said it. It's a transfer of energy, and I would imagine that the transfer comes back to you when you see their little faces light up and they say I love you and they want to play with you. But I have certainly noticed that becoming a parent does physically age people because there is a lack of sleep, there's more demand on your time, kids get sick, you have to take care of them. It's just a natural part of parenting. Had you always wanted to be a dad?
I think so. I mean, I was like the Steve Rogers Captain America story in MCU when he's talking in the back of the car and he's kind of saying it's not that I don't know how to dance, it's just I haven't found the right partner yet. So I always knew I wanted it, but the chemistry was never there to have the right feeling like this was the one that I wanted to start a family with. I want to go back to what you said because I think it's an interesting balance, which is yeah, you do like physically see the wear and tear on someone who's a parent. You do kind of see them change, their face, their body, their energy. But the funny balance is how little you care about it.
Oh, that's such a good point.
You have to kind of strike this balance. I mean, one, it's really easy to just let it all go. Just like you kind of make it a binary equation, which is like, oh, I'm a parent now, I've got to do this. And so you just completely forget and ignore everything about your own personal hygiene, your fashion, your fitness. You just let it all go because there's like this pending emergency in front of you. There's a diaper to be changed. There's the fear of a kid hurting themselves, silence and sleep and feeding and all that stuff. But I feel like as I'm now, my oldest is 4 years old. My next is 2 years old. I'm starting to kind of find the balance between like, I'm allowed to shut the door and say it's dad time. I'm allowed to say I can't play with you right now. I'm allowed to say like I have to work at this moment, or I'm going to go out and do something for myself, and that's okay. And it's a really difficult guilt cycle to
Yeah.
break out of. But I think, you can find your way back, and I hope still be a good dad. I mean, I went straight the usual path. I put on 15 pounds like the first 2 years I had Sunny, and I just didn't work out, I didn't do anything, I barely slept. And then I've just kind of slowly crawled it back, you know? And I found like a new relationship with fitness, a new relationship with how I dress, how I groom, how I work, how I sleep. And I'm starting to find a little bit more balance. I mean, there's still weeks on end where it's completely off kilter.
Yeah.
In either direction. Like sometimes I'll go, "Oh, like I feel like I've been really selfish the past couple weeks. I haven't done enough with my kids for my kids." And other times I'm like, I I need a break. I need to go walk for 20 minutes by myself. I need to lie in the grass and look at the sky and, or play video games. It's tough. It's tough to kind of balance those two.
I bet. You need to decompress. There's so much to unpack there because I just love the way that you said you forget about all that stuff. It's like no longer a thing. The personal hygiene, the fashion, all those things.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever said it to me like that. I keep looking at these influencers online and I see that the women and the men are still wearing their Viore outfits and their makeup is done and they have all these kids running around and I'm like, "Do you have a team behind you that I don't
Yeah.
know about? What's going on there? How are you making that work?"
Yeah, we're inundated with parent content right now, and my wife is always joking. She was like, "Right, a perfectly clean kitchen, with like a doll like toddler sitting next to you like this, and all the ingredients like that's just not how life is. Like
Yeah,
it is
that
not
doesn't
anywhere
look
near
real
that.
to me.
No, it's really off.
Wow. I feel like reality is starting to settle in because I train parents, a lot of mothers, and they tell me, like, "Hey, Kat, I didn't have time today to take a shower." And I'm
Yeah,
like, "Okay." don't worry about that. Like I'm hearing that for the first time because I don't know what that's like personally, but when I hear their problems, they're very different from my own, and so I'm just trying to understand, and hopefully the parents who are listening today can stop feeling so guilty, because I think they go through the exact same thing you're going through, which is you want to give your time, your energy, you want to be the best parent you can. But I also think you're trying to strike that balance between, like, what does Eric need in order to feel fulfilled, and so that he can feel rejuvenated and restored enough to give his best self. And what happened when you felt like, okay, I need to just stop feeling so guilty and I need to feel okay saying, hey, I need some time.
Well, I wish I had the wisdom to say that I discovered it myself, but it was my wife who kind of was the one who helped out. I mean, she's the one who just kind of look at me one day was like, "You need to go outside and be by yourself for like 20 minutes." Because, I think she could see what was going on, and she was the one who basically like released me, you know, and said like, "Stop trying to always do things for the kids. Stop trying to always like, we're both doing it all the time. I get that, but like, you're different than I am. You need your time away. And also, we need you to function as like the breadwinner. We need you to function as like a happy, balanced individual because you're out there talking with people all the time. Your job is extroverted. It is a producing title. I'm not like going to work and doing programming, coding, where I could just like kind of be and get the work done. I have to actually legitimately be a pretty balanced human being.
Yeah.
And she allows me that space, and I'm just super lucky that she can read me that way. And on the days that I can't, she's the one who says, "I know you could push yourself for another 10 minutes, but why don't you not? And like leave now and like come back in an hour. And I don't care what you do. Just, get it out, whatever you need to get out."
What an amazing partner. And I had the privilege of meeting her while she was pregnant with your firstborn.
Yeah. Yeah, but she was radiant, wasn't she?
She was, and I felt
Yeah.
so fortunate that I could feed her my special power balls, my
They were
homemade
so
granola.
good.
Thank
They were
you.
so good.
Yeah, that was a really interesting time. That was during COVID, I believe.
It was. It was right around the time. That's right.
Yeah, so you went through a lot of big changes. You got into a relationship, you found somebody that you did want to build a family with, and you got married.
I did. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's a huge
Thank
step.
you. It was. It was.
Having 2 kids and moving across the country and going from Vagabond to Breadwinner. Come on,
Yeah.
that's a lot. That's huge growth. You leveled up in so many areas of your life, and I know that that can feel heavy. I can imagine that that can feel very heavy. So, how do you do it and get back to this place where you say, "Okay, I'm gonna strike a balance where I am going to start prioritizing my health again, my fitness, my hygiene, my fashion, the things that bring me a little bit of joy."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was luckily enough to find a way to kind of merge them all together because I think I'm an older dad, kind of in the averages of the world. I try not to think about it too societally, but at the same time, I go, wow, when my kids are teenagers or when my kids are going to college, whatever, I'll be like in my 70s, you know? So I'll be quite old. I'm an old dad to begin with. So I want to be around for as long as I can to be a contributing part of their life, right? And I think that's when we go, oh, wait, it's really, really important that I take care of this mortal coil so that I can last long enough to pass on what I know, to be an important figure for them, and to be there for my wife and to provide as best I can, with the time I have. And so I started going like, it's really different than going like, man, I really wish I had like 7% body fat and, you know, I just
Were
wanna,
you
like,
ever that way?
wear the no, no. But it's like, I got down there, I was pretty proud of what pretty proud of where I was, but It's just different going, I want to be sexy, I want to be cool, I want to look awesome, or I want to achieve this number, as opposed to like, can I maintain enough flexibility to play on the ground with my kids? Can I
Ooh,
have enough strength to like carry a 9-year-old who's asleep from the car to the bed? Can I go hiking with them in their early teenage years and not feel like they got to worry about dad?
yeah.
And can I, handle a move to a new house? Can I move a couch, from one room to the other? Can I carry groceries? All these like functional things that I don't want to be a burden on my family. I want to be like helpful to them. So it just changed, it rewired fitness, rewired health. It rewired like, oh, I don't want to have internal problems. I don't want to have high blood sugar. I don't want to have cholesterol problems. I don't want to have like some debilitating disease that will prevent me from contributing to the family unit.
That is so eye-opening, and I love that because everything you just said right there makes me think this is a wholesome, wonderful partner and dad because your priorities have now shifted to where it's not about Eric anymore. It's not about how you look and these personal goals, which are not bad, by the way. Having low body fat, that's fine. But now you're a provider. You are someone's partner. You are little people's caretaker. It sounds like you want high quality of life so that you can be with them and share all of these lovely experiences with them for as long as you possibly can because
Yeah.
you didn't really start out, when you were younger. I wouldn't say that you're an old dad. I would say that you're older. So how old were you when you had your first child?
50.
And then you had your second child at 52?
Right. Right.
And are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. The funny, sad thing is that I'm pretty immature. And so I think if I had done this when I was like in my 30s or whatever, like, I don't know if I would have been able to balance it all. I think I had too much drive, too much insecurity, too much nervousness about who I am or what I want to be. And you look in the mirror, well, this is what you got. I'm very satisfied with what I got. It's fine. It's all good. So I'm working with what I have as opposed to striving to be something I could be if I just got to that next thing. I'm kind of like where I'm at, and that's great. So I feel like this is the great time for me to be a dad.
There's so much maturity there, and it sounds like a deep level of acceptance. You are accepting who you are.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. And I think maybe before I didn't. What the one struggle I have, and I guess lucky not to face this, but I was so nervous about having a boy. Isn't that
Really?
weird?
Why?
Yeah. Well, I just thought I've got so much weird stuff about being a dude, and I feel like
What are you talking about?
I mean the balance of masculinity and femininity, the amount of strength to put in something as opposed to a soft caretaking point of view. I don't really know where that is. I just kind of go intuitively. And so I worried that if I had a boy, I would just project all this stuff like, don't do what I did, do more of what I thought was good. I would just be a lot more hands on. And having girls is kind of like, that's just what they are. So let's go with that. So I feel I can more objectively see them just for what they are and what they show to me, as opposed to predicting or projecting what I think might be happening. And so I feel like much more relaxed around them because whatever they do, I just kind of go, oh, that's who they are today. So I just work with that present moment as
Yeah.
opposed to all the past and future that I fear and hope and I put upon that.
Yeah. I think that's a normal concern. I could totally see parents thinking that way as well. Are you done having kids?
For now, yeah, I mean, I think my wife and I have decided that this is the infrastructure that we can handle. One more and we're outnumbered, outgunned, and we probably don't have the finances and emotional resources to do the best job that we can. We don't have any family nearby. We had to create a community from coincidence and luck and lifestyle. And that's a lot of things that parents tell you that you don't realize till you get there. Like when you're single, when you're with just a partner, you can meet all kinds of people. You can get along with all kind of people. You can kind of be fluid but when you're a parent, it starts to really narrow because the lifestyle you live only allows certain kind of activities. I can't go bar hopping.
Yeah.
I can't go for like a 3-day trip out to the mountains, like I can't just take a spontaneous vacation. I can't be like, "Hey, what are you doing Saturday?" On Saturday. You can't just like be that spontaneous because there's all these other souls you have to kind of time things around.
That
And
makes a
so you
lot of
end up hanging out with
sense.
parents. You end up hanging out with a lot of parents.
Did you notice that when you became a father, that your friends changed?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. At least what I discovered is that your friends narrow quite a bit because there's a lot of people that will just kind of get pushed to the wayside for your reasons and for their reasons. They just won't be able to spend time with you. A lot of people, especially my age, might have like a certain association being around kids. They might feel either very comfortable or uncomfortable. They could get bored by the kind of things that parents do. And they could be frustrated because like another thing a parent has to figure out is how to actually pay attention to someone who's in front of them while like 3 things are happening on the side. So a lot of like parent conversations like, yeah, uh-huh, yeah, oh, sounds terrible. Can you hold on for and like you're just basically like chasing little monkeys around who are like holding a sharp object like this. And you're like, that's great. No, I want to hear what happened last night. I hope it was a good third date. But can you hold on for 1 second? And then you're just like, put that down, you know.
I see, I see. So you can continue having friendships with people who are not parents, but it just really depends on the individual, where they're at in their comfort with being around kids,
Mhm.
because you don't get a choice. You're now a parent. You're in that club.
Yeah, that's right.
And wow, your whole world and your whole lifestyle changes.
Yeah, and I think also parents have to do a good job of meeting people where they're at too. Like, if I'm out with coworkers, I don't think it's appropriate to just talk about your kids for 6 hours,
Mm,
or to like relate everything they're talking about to, well, my kid. Well, sometimes you have to just let that go and be a grown up in front of another grown up and just talk about grown up things.
yes,
Because I
that
think
is
if you
such a
push too
beautiful
much,
point.
yeah, and I think it's unfair for like, if I were to go out to lunch with you, unless you wanted to, I would not sit and talk about my kids all the time.
And here's the thing, as a single woman who does not have any kids, I would feel compelled to want to talk about your kids because number 1, I love kids. Number 2, your kids are cute. And number 3,
You're kind and empathic and interested, so how about that?
I thank you, but also I kind of feel like you want to talk about your kids. So I love that you shared that with me because now I know, okay, we don't have to talk about the kids the whole time.
Yeah, that's right, that's right, I'm glad you said it on the other side too, which is that balance of, like, some people just wanna know, like, I think if I were to hang out with my relatives and I didn't talk about my kids, they'd be upset because 'cause they'd be like, "We have known you forever. We're tired of hearing about you. We wanna hear about your kids." Yeah, that's the that's the Filipino joke I have too, like, I saw my aunties and they're like, "Oh, we wanna come to Florida to come see your kids." I mean, and you too, but, like, fine, but, like, what we really wanna see is your kids. Yeah, yeah.
I get that. Wow, my eyes are opening. So I bet that that's not true for all people because it seems like some moms in particular, I might be wrong here, but they do love talking about their kids. Their kids become their world. But I would assume they also want to talk about themselves because they're also an individual, independent of their children. They have their own
Yeah,
wants, needs, and desires.
and certainly in my limited experience, I've met a couple on both sides. I've met some who are like, all I want to do is tell you about my kids because I have to get it out. Otherwise, I'm going to explode, you
Wow.
know? And the other parents are like, I just want to talk about anything but them because I'm overwhelmed by them. And I just read this interesting book and I don't have a person over 9 to talk about.
Yes. What a
So
great point.
you just gotta kinda read the air and see, like, what that parent wants to talk about. I mean, I think the thing that's really fun hanging out with other parents my age is sometimes there's just, like, this communion where you look at each other and go, "Hey," and you're just so happy to see someone else who's fighting the fight, and you just kinda, like, stare at each other and, like, you
Hey,
don't
that's
have to
like
say anything
CrossFit.
because it's really, like, the end of the workout, you're like, "High five." That's right.
We just suffered together. Now you're suffering in a
Yeah.
whole different way.
You're bonded.
You're
That's right. Yeah.
still in CrossFit. It's just
Yeah,
different.
it's the same. It's the same. Every workout is different.
What's your PR gonna be today? Is it gonna be
That's
your personal record is how quickly can you get the kids to sleep and keep
yeah,
them
that's right.
asleep?
That's
You know?
right, exactly. To me, it's like the anger in my voice, like how many hours can I not be angry? Like that's my PR.
Mm,
Hey, it's 9 hours or I didn't go, hey, like it didn't.
it
That's a
didn't
PR for me.
fluctuate so much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
my experience, because I have dated somebody who had a child,
Mhm.
is when I'm in that experience, I have to be my best self all the freaking time. I can't let any of my past garbage influence who I am. I have to wise up. I have to be mature. I can still be human and make mistakes, of course, but I have to be on more than not being on. So I can't be sloppy. There's no room for it because that child is being influenced. They're a sponge. They see and feel everything and they're learning and they're taking that all in. Do you feel that way or are you sometimes just like so tired you can't be on?
I wanna toss that back to you. What's wrong with just Catherine?
Oh, nothing's wrong because I know
You
that
know?
in therapy we're not supposed to
Yeah.
say that, but I come with a lot.
But that's okay too. I guess I'll throw that back to you. Like I see your need to wanna like, okay, I better like tidy up for this. If you were hanging out with me and my family, I wouldn't want any facade.
Mm.
Like, I would just want you to be Catherine, and I would want my kids to know you as just Catherine. And that's why I want to hang out with. Like, I don't want you to think that you have to like raise the bar because you're around children. There's like inappropriate things I would ask you not to do. Not that kind of joke, not that kind of nuance. My oldest is very confused with irony. They don't usually get that until I think like 9 or 10, maybe a little older for boys. But if you say something ironic, she's really confused and she'll like really like, what do you mean? Like, I don't get like she gets very confused and frustrated with an ironic statement,
That makes sense to me
you
because
know?
I get confused a lot when people are speaking figuratively and I take everything literally.
Then you
And
get
I'm
along very well.
45.
You get along very well with Sunny.
I think I would get along really well with her. But number one, I tend to like kids more than adults because they're cooler. They're
Mm,
fun. They're
yeah, they
unfiltered.
are
They
pretty
say
cool.
what's in their heart. They want to
Yeah,
play in the dirt. They want to jump around. They want to be active. I don't want to sit in a chair and be boring and fat all day. I don't want to do that. I want to play
that's
and I
right.
want to get dirty and I want to be active and I want
Yeah.
to use my
Yep.
imagination. So kids
Yeah.
are cool in that way. However, they have boundless energy and I need a break at times.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think who I am today would be just fine being myself. I guess what I was alluding to is when I'm in romantic relationship, there's some
Mm.
stuff there that
Yeah.
I'm still working through. And if there's a child present, all the time, most of the time, some of what I'm dealing with and growing through is going to leak out. They're going to
I see.
see it.
Yeah, I see. I see. It's not like a truth serum, but it is kind of this bright light that gets shown on you when you are in a relationship with someone who has children or when you have your own children too. It's like they just kind of see you and you're aware that they see you. And it's
Yes.
a little bit of like, you know,
Yes, you're so vulnerable.
yeah, yeah. I think the most beautiful and this big moment I had with Sunny, my daughter, is, she was on my chest and she just looked at me. She's like, Dada, why do you have all those wrinkles on your face? And I was like, because Dada's been laughing his whole life. And she was like,
Oh
and she just loved that. Like, she thought it was so funny. She's like,
my God, what a
yeah,
great answer. What a great
yeah,
answer. Yeah,
yeah,
kids can say some stuff where it's up to you on how you're going to respond.
right.
Wow. You know what I noticed? Can't see it now, but if we were in person, you would see a lot of gray hairs coming through, a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
And it happened during the relationship with the guy who had the kid.
Wow.
I don't know if that has anything to do with it. My heart is telling me yes, even though I love everything out of that kid. He's a great
Yeah,
kid. He is my
yeah.
greatest teacher, but man, was it stressful. And I just remember that summer, all the grays started coming out, not just one or two, but they all started to party on my head. And I was like, I
Yeah,
think
that's
that
right.
that's a small taste of what parenting might be like.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I had when I met you, I had like a little kind of
You
Reed
had a little on the
Richards, a
side.
little on the side, but like, this all came. And by the way, I'm so happy I grew it out. Like, I feel like this
You
is
have
like
so
the
much
best
hair.
haircut I've
You
ever had.
have
I know, I had no
beautiful hair.
idea. I had no idea. And I'm kind of mad at myself. I'm like, why didn't I like do this earlier? I had this like short spiky thing,
Yeah,
but this
but the
feels
short
much more
spiky
like me.
thing was cool too.
That's true. I guess, yeah, it was the right cut for the right time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy where I'm settling in, like kind of Jedi mode.
Yes. I want to be a Jedi. I'm going to Disneyland at the end of this month, and I'm so
Yeah,
excited
yeah.
because I still haven't seen that area with the Jedis.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't want to make this too glossy and bright because I was kind of interested in this session with you because there was something that happened to me that I thought might be enlightening, which is I had like the most complete, utter meltdown on Saturday. I was let go from my job in November, right? So I had a full-time job for about 4.5 years in theme parks and location-based entertainment. They finally let me go there. I mean, it wasn't my fault. It was just the business plan changed and the market conditions. I'm hustling for some new things. I'm working on a new venture. I launched a new licensing business today. All these things are going on. And a couple of families wanted to go to Lowe's together because there's this kids activity section in Lowe's. It's fine, whatever. So we wake up early, we go to Lowe's together, and all these parents and everyone, you get this little plastic bag, and inside of it is a nails and wood, and you have to make a washing machine that has the word Lowe's on it, but it's also a bank, you know? I'm a creative person, I'm a producer, but I'm a little more airy and I'm a little more inspirational. And here is this like complex IKEA style set of directions with hammers and nails. And my kid was there, another parent's kid was there. Everyone had their hands full. So I'll help two or three of them put this together at the same time. Right. And I was like, "Oh, okay, let's try that." And I was doing this and I started like sweating and I started to panic. And then I couldn't figure out the directions. And I looked around and all the other parents were doing a great job. And all the kids were hammering this thing. And I didn't know what to do next. And then I I think I put on the wrong thing and I hammered it. And then I ran around Lowe's and I tried to find a tool to like pull it apart again. And then at one point I looked down and I realized that my kid was playing somewhere else. The other kids were all done. And I had this disaster of semi-broken pieces on the ground, right? I just went, near, and I just like leaned back and I looked up and I was so close to just complete tears. And
Oh,
I was wrecked. I was like, I can't put together a kid's toy. I was like, "Oh, so useless. I'm so incompetent." And all these kids were like, look, mine's done. And I was not myself for the rest of the afternoon. And my wife was like, "Are you okay?" I just can't even put together like a kid's toy. And like, I was there for her, but I was like lost in this thing. And, I stopped being a good dad. I'm just a frustrated kid. Right. And then I went out and played tennis with a new neighbor who was like, "Oh, I play tennis, let's play." And I lost 6 love, which I've never lost in my entire life. Like, I'm
wow.
a decent tennis player, and I've just never I can't recall when someone beat me love. I've never felt so defeated all in one day. It was just weird how I can talk to you and you bring out like a lot of confidence and comfort in me and so I can be very natural. But when it goes wrong for someone like me, it goes so wrong.
Yeah.
And I just it was a complete collapse of insecurity and sadness and nervousness and my voice was even gone. It was really a complete system breakdown.
I appreciate so much you sharing that with me because I know that you have human struggles, but to hear it compounded like that, that was a freaking day. Are we talking about just like a few days ago, Saturday?
Yeah, the last weekend.
Man, that's a
Yeah.
rough one. I don't think that it was about the tennis, and I don't think that it was about the washing machine slash bank. I think that it was something deeper than that. Have
I
you
think
had
so
time to
too. And
think about it?
I have. I mean, I think where I look at like my career, where I look at my life, where I look at where I've done well or not done well, I think I always focus so much attention on what I thought were like the higher, more important things, which is like a false narrative. Oh, I'll be creative. I'll be outgoing. I'll make sure I know a lot of people. I'll network marketing. Oh, accounting and bill paying and small detail. It doesn't matter. But so much more balanced than that. And I fail at the simple things.
Hmm,
I actually panic at applications.
hmm.
I can't always get my name in the right spot. I'll put the date in the wrong area. I'll put the zip code. I panic when it comes to very simple sequential admin things because I've devalued them so much. And then when I make a mistake, it doubles down and reminds me that I'm incompetent at what people find very, very easy, you know?
I know exactly what you mean. I'm the exact opposite. And I have been with someone who has the same mentality as you. And I don't know if you are interested or wanting to shift that mentality so that accounting and basic application, um, filling out
Yeah.
becomes of more importance. But I have been with that creative person before where they devalued like doing their taxes and doing the accounting and paying people and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, wait a minute. No, 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 no. This is a priority. However, I did not prioritize creativity. So I still to this day do not refer to myself as a creative, as an artist or anything like
Mm,
that.
mm.
And I am the person, I'm the paper pusher. I'm the person who gets all the things done. The T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, that kind of person. But the truth is, I that's a false narrative, as you said. I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
change that story. We can change our stories. You can put more precedence on the things that you once deemed mundane or irrelevant or low priority and find more of that balance because I think that's life in general, no matter what we're talking about. It's not about, it's, big dramatic differences between two different things. It's about equalizing in a sense and
Yeah.
having more of a balance.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like the more I try to balance those things and realize that they have their moments in time, they have their value at that time, then I start to feel more balanced in general. So I'm trying to take more seriously the fine details and I admire them a lot more than I did before. And, I think a lot of parenting also helped with that because it's not glamorous. Changing a diaper is a series of simple events that you just got to do properly. And
Really?
folding kids' laundry is just like you just got to do it. Things like creativity and high intelligence, they don't really help you in those moments. They don't help you wash your kid. They don't help you brush their teeth. It's just like you got to do those things repeatedly, properly, simply, and that's where you kind of build up this good parenting behavior.
It's like anything, you work that muscle, like in the gym. You were the person, by the way, that taught me how to do a deadlift correctly. And you
Yeah.
said, Kat, it's not about just lifting the barbell off the ground. It looks like a simple movement, but I still remember it to this day. You said, when done correctly, it is a highly technical movement. And I was so interested, and I was the sponge. I was the child at the time that was like, teach me, teach me, teach me. And when you broke it down into simple steps, I realized I'm not going to master this in a day. I'm not
Mm,
going to master this in a week. There is so much going on. And the only way I'm going to get good at it is I have to do it over and over and over and over again. And I have to make mistakes and I have to be okay
yeah,
with
it's great.
that. But
It's
there
great.
are certain things that I have to prioritize. I have to make sure that my back is straight, my core is engaged. Then there's those other fine details that come into effect. And then it makes the lift that much more powerful and effective.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
imagining you washing your kid in the bathtub or changing that diaper. And it's not just as simple as like wipe, wipe, clean. It could be maybe depending on how much time you're allowed, but I've changed a lot of diapers. I'm the oldest of,
Wow.
the siblings, and I was raised by a single dad. So I had to help
Mm,
take care of my sister and my little brother.
mm,
So I've
mm.
changed a fair amount of diapers. And you're right. There's a method to that madness.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not sure about you because it's interesting to hear the polar, the yin to my yang. But I finally have accepted I'm a slow learner and I'm okay with that.
Mm,
I think I had this frustration of like, how come I don't get it quickly? I'm gonna have to repeat it so many times. But now that I realize that like I learn a little more slowly, that's okay. That's just the way I do it. Right. And it's so funny the balance I had with my wife is she's a very quick learner. She's very quick to get details, but she did something very wise, whether it was me doing the dishes or me changing a diaper. Her first instinct was to correct me, do it, kind of quicken it up. And finally, she got some advice from someone that said, if you're going to ask your husband to do something, expect that he will do it in the slowest, most inefficient, sloppy way. That is every way that you would not do it, but you got to let him do it. Because if you don't let him finish it, you will slowly teach him that you will do it for him when he
yes.
doesn't do it.
Yes.
And now that like I see her eyes watch me and just relax and know that I'll eventually get it done my own weird way, she'll know that the second and third and fourth time it'll also be this terrible, weird, awkward way. And the fifth time it'll be a little more efficient. And the sixth, and by the 10th time, okay, he's figured out his way. He doesn't have to think, it just happens. But it does take me sometimes 10 times to get a simple, repeatable behavior down.
I don't think that that's a slow learner because that's how I learn on certain tasks,
Right, on
not
certain
all
tasks.
tasks,
Right,
certain tasks. So
right.
it sounds like your wife has to be more patient and give up control when it comes to you in performing some of these tasks that are seemingly simple, yet not simple for you. So there's some give and take there, but I love this lesson because this can apply to teaching children as well. But this is so good for working with your partner, whether you're in a relationship or you have a roommate or whatever, is don't default to doing it for them because they're never going to learn. And everybody doesn't move at your pace. They don't learn the same way that you do. You're going to have to practice patience and letting go of control and allowing them to do it in the way that works for them. I love that you said that because I can apply that to my next relationship
Yeah,
moving forward because I am the controlling type that's like, well, things need to be done just like this. I even remember when you and I talked over 10 years ago about a Vitamix, and you said,
yeah.
I think it was you that said you can clean it by putting like a little drop of dishwashing detergent in there and you can turn the thing on. And to me, I was like, nah, that is not clean enough. Thank you. No, thank you. And then in my most recent relationship, dating this guy, he said the same thing. And I was like, nah, no, thank you. I got my bottle brush. I'll figure it out. And I thought about it afterwards. This is like 12 years later, after you and I talked about this. You probably don't even remember it.
No, I remember that talk because I remember
You
being
do?
blown away that it's possible.
I
It's
know
right there
I
in the
know.
directions.
I
Yeah.
know it says that, but, like, when we're dealing with almond butter, I'm not sure. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
when I said that to him, an awareness came up afterwards where I was like, "Kat, did you really need to say that? And did you need to say it in the way that you did? You are not always right. And the way that you do things doesn't mean like that is the end all be all." So I'm still working on that. And that applies to teaching children as well, because you can offer them one way of doing something, maybe the way that you learned how or the way that you like to do it. But I think with children, especially if you want them to grow and be creative and explorative, you have to encourage them that there are multiple ways to get the job done.
That's right. And it's funny, I'm glad you said that because one thing that we deal with, and I'm trying to take this into other parts of my life, is, my oldest daughter is going through the why phase, why, why? And it's exhausting, right? Because she just has so many questions. And I think what really tired my wife out, and I felt bad for us, is she answered every single time.
Wow.
And, she tried to answer in great detail because she's, kind of a thorough parent. So, like, why is it there? Well, the vacuum has a plug and the plug cleans up the dirt. And, well, then why? Well, she went through all these like long things. And I just saw her so tired. And I asked her permission. I was like, do you mind if I try to change techniques on this? Right. And she was like, be my guest. So when Sunny goes, why? I go, can you answer that question? And she
Ooh.
goes, hmm. And, she starts to figure it out. And sometimes it makes no sense. But I love that. And I just do yes and, you know?
Yes.
So when
Oh my
she's like,
God, I
well,
love that
why does
too.
the vacuum do that? Well, what do you think? Because it's trying to clean up. Yes, it's trying to clean up. Why is it trying to clean up like that? Because it's hungry. That's right. It's hungry for dirt. Hey, it's dirt. So like it kind of goes into her area, and sometimes she just goes, I don't know. I really don't know. And then I'll
And
say,
then
well, I'm glad you tried. That's great. Let's figure it out together.
did you come up with that on your own? Because that's brilliant.
I think it's just the way our play pattern worked, right? Is that, Sunny and I, my oldest, enjoy kind of a lot of role play. We enjoy a lot of storytelling. We kind of take things into random directions. And my wife is like, thank God, because I can't do that. It's not me. Like, I'm very logical. If she wants to know why I put a dish in the dishwasher, I'll tell her why,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And
I
I'll
think
go,
that that's
why do you
brilliant.
think? Yeah, and it
Yeah.
helps. It like, I think it just creates a third conversation, like there's the binary, of like why answer, why answer, why answer. And you can't keep up because she has more questions than you have time to respond.
And it's only one word. Why? You
That's right.
have
And
to
you have
you
to,
have to spout
right.
out all these other words so you're giving way more energy and she just goes, "Why?" "Oh,
Yeah.
okay, why?" And she could
Yeah.
endlessly say why. So I love this. I love this.
Yeah. It helps. And also I started digging deeper and I could be wrong, but she just wants to talk to you. Like, it's not really about the answers. It's not really about, she just wants to know that conversation happens like this. So she's mimicking that pattern and
Yeah.
she wants to just be part of what's going on. So that's her way of inserting herself.
I think that that's such a good observation, and I think that that's right because as they grow up and become more independent, I think that that's just a form of their independence is and
Hmm.
becoming a whole person. This conversation is making me think of my wheelhouse, which is teaching people about health and fitness. And
Right.
a lot of times I get inundated with questions and people will ask me something simple like, well, when I do this workout, when I do a pull up, for example, which muscles should be engaged? And I say, well, why
Right.
don't you tell me?
Yeah, that's
And
great.
so
That's great.
and they don't know, and I say, "Well, why don't you do a pull-up right now? Close your eyes and feel in your body where you feel it." And then when they do it, they have the answer. It's about slowing down too. So I love the way that you're asking this question to your child, to your children, and you can apply this to adult relationships as well because then you get them thinking. And sometimes when people come up with the answer themselves, they feel so much more satisfied than just receiving the answer.
I think it's a deeper cycle because you just shown the way, you've not given them the answer.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
stays with them. They don't have to ask me that question again because somehow it's now in their body. They came up with it
Mm,
and they might remember this conversation like, oh, I close my eyes, I feel it in my body. There we go. But if I just give the answer, it's too easy in a way. And
yeah.
sometimes they have so much clutter in there that some things are just like going to get missed and they're going to forget and they're going to ask me again and again and again. I have to get creative in how I respond so I can relate to you in that way. I love
And
that.
I think you've hit on something really deep too, which is I feel like the relationship from the person who asks for information and the person who must respond. If it isn't sometimes challenging, like the data just goes through. I mean, you make me think about people who prompt AI to answer a bunch of questions. And the answer is always so, what's the word I'm looking for? Submissive and
Mm.
instantaneous. And, you know, they provide, like, I have a question, answer, answer, answer. I have a question, answer, answer. And it starts to take a lot less responsibility for the questioner to discover, you know? Where in like deeper learning, like you're talking about, I am kind of responsible when I'm asking the question. So I'm not free to just go, duh, tell me what I'm asking for. If I ask you something, you're gonna be like, hey, listen, we're gonna bring it to the forefront. We're both gonna have this discussion. And it makes me more responsible and more alert because I've got to bring my own game to every question. I think that's really important.
It is so important, and I love that you brought that up because I don't get to talk with many people about that. The people who ask me questions, I want y'all to put some thought into it because when
Right,
I
right.
ask you questions, I put thought into it. There are a lot of people who ask questions without a lot of thinking first. For
Yeah, there's lazy
example,
questions.
that's what it is. They're lazy
Yeah.
questions. I'll be sent memes of like the guy who only eats one meal a day and it's a massive cheesy meat laden pizza. And they say, hey, Kat, this guy is super fit. Can I just do this?
That's right.
I really get that from real clients. Sometimes I don't have the patience and I'm overwhelmed by it that I just need a minute to respond. But I want to find
Mm,
an eloquent way to say, hey, that's lazy.
yeah.
So
I
maybe,
mean,
Eric, you
that's a
tell
tough
me.
one. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, because everybody wants the pill. You know, everybody wants the one thing
Well,
that they
now we have a
swallow when they're
pill.
done. Yeah, I know we do. We have a pill. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I mean, I struggle with that all the time. You know, I do a lot of consulting for people who want to make animation, who want to make cartoons, people who want to enter into the business of intellectual property. You know, I've got my daughter asking these simple questions all the time. You know, and there's fitness when I was a coach, just like you. There's a lot of people who
Yes.
just want the simple answer. I have two approaches. One is like a real punk rock, nasty, almost Zen Buddhism way. It's called a koan. So a koan is this Buddhist technique where, I mean, as the story goes, you know, this monk goes up to his teacher and he's like, "Hey, what is the secret to enlightenment?" And he just goes, "Mop the floor." What? You know, and he just like gives him a mop and he goes away. When the monk is falling asleep and they're meditating, someone just goes whack and hits them on the back. Because the idea is it's the wrong question. You're asking the wrong question. And what
Yes.
you need to do is not answer the question. You have to explode them out of that way of thinking and so that they rewire and start again. That's like the whole reason
Oh,
for the
I need
koan.
to start
It's a
hitting my clients.
that's but the nonsense answer can come in different forms. Like so that the one is the koan, right? And the quick one is like the old school violent shock, whatever. But the second one is, you know, and I'm just gonna try this out. I'll see what happens when I say it out loud. If someone's like, "Hey, I saw this influencer and he just eats this like meat and pizza once a day. Can I just do that?" You know? And you're like, well, why do you think Jupiter is so big? You know, and they're like, what are you talking about? And you're like, well, do you have the answer for that? No, no, I was asking about this pizza thing. Was like, well, you know, I don't really know either. It's very complicated. There's probably a lot of reasons. There's 100 reasons, but like the moment we try to make an answer to a question, you might just be asking the wrong question, you
Yes.
know? I mean, that's not like the most elegant way to do it, but you know what I'm talking about is like you need to get them out of that modality of binary thought of like, if I ask a question, she gives me the answer, I am therefore fit, you know,
Yeah.
because overly simple answers to complex problems are like the bane of us right now.
I know it. I know it. I love that example. And I do hit some of my clients with a noodle. You know the pool
Yeah.
noodles? When
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah,
when
that's
they're
right.
when they're slouching and their back is like this, I take the pool noodle and I give them a little thwack and it doesn't hurt. It's just like an alert like,
Funny.
"Hey,
It's funny.
I think it's hilarious, and then I film
Yeah,
it too
yeah.
for my own pleasure, and then I show them, but I attract a certain type of client where they They like my humor. They do, for the
That's
most
good.
part.
That's good.
But what I was also thinking is another way to respond to the guy now that we're talking about it, who said, "Kat, can I just eat like the large pizza every day instead?" I could say, "Sure you can. Go ahead. Go
Yeah.
for it. Let me know how that works out for you."
Yeah, you should try it for 1 year.
Was gonna be kinder and say, like, "Let's do
But
this for 2 to 3 weeks," because you know it
Oh,
takes a while for that change to show up in the body.
right.
Okay, a year, fine,
If you
fine.
want that pizza shape to your body, I think eating a pizza every day.
Yeah. Everybody wants the quick fix still, and because we can all just go to ChatGPT and we can get our
Mm,
therapy and we can get our everything all in one, it's a little bit scary just because I do use ChatGPT, but I have discovered that it has been wrong so many times, and I have to also be incredibly intentional with the kind of questions I ask. So I don't just start just like dumping into it like I would my journal. I am very intentional about what I put in there because it's going to mimic that same kind of mentality back to you.
yeah, which I have a problem with because I think a confrontational discussion can sometimes lead to a greater mutual understanding than an overly agreeing prompt
Mm,
who, just wants to give you exactly what you asked for. I mean, there's good uses for it and there's bad uses for it. Like when I prompted, ChatGPT to review me the legalities of opening an LLC in the state of Florida, it was very valuable.
yes.
So there are some things that just do require a simple set of organized answers, but there's some things I just would not ask it.
Well, I
I'd
know
rather
the
ask a
people,
person.
I understand that, but I know a lot of people who are using ChatGPT as their therapist now. They're asking incredibly complex emotional questions that I don't know if ChatGPT can go there. And I have used it in that way to test it out and see what it spits out. And I think that there are some valuable points that it computes and comes up with. However, I have seen it be incredibly wrong as well. And you have to have the awareness and you have to have all these other things in place in your own life, like having maybe a real life therapist, having a strong support group, strong friendships, community, in order to be able to have the awareness to see that ChatGPT is not best utilized in that way.
Yeah, and without oversimplifying, I mean, isn't there the required catharsis of the act of verbally admitting something to another human being who is receiving and listening? Isn't that almost like a part of the prerequisite of a successful therapy session? Someone needs to receive the message that you are willing to pull out of your throat and say in order for that cycle to work.
It can. It certainly can
Mm.
be part of the equation, but that's not how all therapy sessions go. It could be just something that you're working with internally that's your own thing. However, people are humanizing ChatGPT.
Mm.
And for a little bit, I was playing around saying like, "Oh, ChatGPT and I are besties." But I'm doing
Mm.
that in a silly way. I don't mean
Yeah,
that
yeah.
for real, but
Mhm,
people mean that
mhm.
for real because they can admit when they were wrong or they want to have that certain level of catharsis even though they don't realize that that's what it is. And ChatGPT will self-affirm in a way and say, "Oh, I'm so glad that you." It's always so complimentary. It's always going to give you the answer that you want to hear. And if it tries to give you something a little different from what you were thinking, it's always going to do it so gently. So it's a tricky thing and it's an interesting world that we're heading into.
Yeah, yeah. And I think getting along with people is kinda hard,
It
and
is.
I feel like if we can get through it, we're better for it, but yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get along with people, but I think that's like the mess you wanna get yourself in, to try to be a better person, is you gotta get along with people.
Yes, and I love that you said that because relationships are hard, especially when it's so easy to just have a relationship with people via text. You can have the best relationship with somebody through text messages and emails because you're not having that real life interaction. So we can romanticize our relationships at times. Social media can be great in that way. But once you start having a real life conversation with someone and there's disagreements involved and we have to check ourselves, that's where the real magic happens. Because if you are open to that, there's growth that can happen. Also, when you argue with someone and you fight and you have conflict, there's the very possibility that you will get through that and you will grow stronger and your relationship will get even deeper. And that's something that you can't get from the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I think I didn't realize how valuable it was to have a good fight until later in life. I think I didn't understand how to manage that kind of conflict. When things would get uncomfortable, I just kind of like squirm away.
Yeah, me too.
But, sitting in it and having a good fight and then going up and apologizing later or listening to someone's apology. I mean, it's good. It's really good. It's hard.
It's
But I
so
think
hard.
that's does what build those bonds, because if you realize that you can fight with someone and then make up again and then love someone and fight someone again and it's all in the same relationship, you feel like, okay, I can be myself because it's okay to have these moments of imperfection because that's not what we're about. That we're just decided to go through this together.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Eric, it
Yeah.
has been so incredible having this conversation with you. I could keep talking with you for a long time.
Easily.
So easily. We won't have to talk about the kids. We can talk about other stuff. We didn't even touch on what you're doing now with fitness. Can you share with me what you're doing now to get back to that place where you feel good about your health and fitness?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I did is I'm a lot more careful about how and when I eat. And I don't have any really exact science. I kind of go through some intuition. Like I tend to prioritize protein like many people. I tend to try to vary the kind of proteins I eat. So I'm trying a lot more fish and chicken and tofu and pork and beef. I'm mixing it up all around. And then I'm trying to just look at a lot of vegetables and green stuff all the time. I just feel happier if I see a lot of like, different types of vegetables around me. So that just feels good. It doesn't seem like I could really hurt myself with that. So I just keep trying new stuff and cooking new stuff. So the joy of cooking has helped a lot. I've been restrained, I would say, on my timed intake of carbohydrates. Like, know if I want to play 2 hours of tennis, I'm going to have a big bowl of rice a couple hours before. Or if I'm going to hit a big strength workout, I might do a plate of pasta the night before. And I'll feel like kind of this natural guilt from it, but I get over it and I try to use it as an energy source. I've been prioritizing my fitness for this year, which is I want 50% of what I do to really be focused on agility and mobility, because that's the thing I fear most losing that would prevent me from playing and being natural and getting injured. I want agility to be like the number one thing. So after that is strength. And after that is cardio capacity in that order. So I try to do it in that order. And that's just my method. I'm not the kind of guy to go out and run a half marathon. I just don't enjoy it. But I don't mind playing 2 hours of tennis. I don't mind taking a long, 2 hour walk. Like I think those are great. I
Yeah.
love lifting. I think I'll keep doing that. I've lost a lot of muscle mass, but I think in all of that, like I watched my weight go up about 15 pounds when I had kids. And then last year I was able to drop it all down. So I'm at kind of pre-dad bod weight, again, which I
Nice.
feel good about. My clothes fit again. That's important because it's not it's not about looking great. It's about I don't have to buy new pants.
My gosh. So there's not even a little tiny part of you that is like feeling yourself like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit more like my old self.
No, no. I mean, I'm sad about that. Like when I have been lifting a little bit and getting stronger, that feels okay. But I don't do it consistently enough where I feel like those numbers are going back up again.
Yeah.
I'm not chasing that. I just like the idea that I can put something heavy on my back every once in a while. I did a 5 by 5 squat last week of like 115 pounds. And I was like, hey, that's okay.
Yes.
You know,
And I know you to lift way heavier back then, but that was almost a different life.
it was a total, exactly. It was a different life. It was a different life because I don't think it was a different me. It was a different life because I had different priorities. There were different things that were important to me. I chased some goals and I got them, and I'm so happy I did. I don't need that right now, so I'm okay not having it. Yeah, we'll see where we go. And I think maybe I would like to be competitive in the senior tennis circuit someday as I get towards 60, 65. If I can kind of keep it up and maintain some skill training on top of my endurance and agility, then yeah, I could probably have a couple decent tournament runs, see if I can get a podium or something or a fourth place or a first. That would be fun. Just give me a little drive.
I love that you put that out into the universe. You said maybe, but I
Yeah.
think that you do
Yeah.
want it. I think you're underplaying how good you are at tennis. I remember back in the day you talking about tennis and you being unapologetic with how good you are.
I was pretty good for the time, but I now know what a long road it's gonna be for me to be good again. But I'm okay, I like that road. It's a fun path to take.
Yeah, and you've been there before and it's a different path this time. Well, Eric,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy day to be here. I hope that we inspired some people. I know that you've inspired me. It has been so wonderful. It feels like no time has passed, but just
Yeah,
seeing your
yeah.
growth has been everything. I am just completely motivated, inspired by this conversation. So thank you.
You're welcome, and I see you too. You're doing great. I mean, everything you're doing in your journey, I'm just so happy for you, proud of you. I'm very honored to be your friend, actually.
Oh, thank you, Eric.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you soon. I'll come to LA and hang out with you.
I would love that, and we're not gonna talk about
Yay!
kids.
Only if you want to. Okay.
Okay. I
All
will
right.
kind of
I'll
want
see.
to.
Okay. All right. I'll see you later.
Okay, bye.